Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lewis and here we talk about everything to do with personal finance, growing your money and financial education. The aim of the channel is to help you be able to stretch your money out as far as possible and be able to grow your income for the future. In this video today we're going to dive into my personal finances in particular, and like the series I have going at the moment that shows my budget every month and where my money goes to, this series, which is the first video in this series, I'm also going to be doing an ongoing series of videos showing where my money goes that I put towards investment. So if you've watched any of my budget videos before, then you'll see that in there I have some money that's allocated towards investments every single month. This video is going to break down in a little bit more detail on what my investment goals are and how that money kind of gets split up in my budget spreadsheet after it leaves my monthly budget tracker. So yeah, hopefully there's going to be a few useful tips in here for you as to how you might want to split your money, or having a think about the things that you want to be saving for or investing in for future wealth. So hopefully there's going to be some useful bits that come from it. If you haven't seen one of my budget videos before, then please, I'll drop it in a link down below in the comments, but please do go away and have a look at that video as well, because it just shows the exact money that I've got coming in and going out every month. But without further ado, as I say, that's in that video, so you can go and have a look at it. So we'll jump straight in now and I will put my budget spreadsheet up on the screen in a second and we will start on the investments tab. Okay, so here on the screen now we have my budget spreadsheet, which I say some of you may recognize from some of my other videos before, but we're now going to spend a bit of time on the savings and investments tab. We spend a lot of time on the monthly budget tracker in my budget video, which I've just popped on the screen here for you so you can see. But in this video, we're going to go into the savings and investments. So the money that is allocated in my budget spreadsheet that goes towards the savings and investments categories, where does that then go and what are my goals? That's what this video is going to cover, and that's what this tab shows us. Today's video will be quite a short one because this is me getting started with this tab. So far I've not been tracking these numbers in here, so this is my first month doing it in December, and then going forwards into 2026 I will do this monthly for you guys to be able to see what my goals are, which are listed in here, and also how I'm getting on, how the ebbs and flows of the stock market can actually impact my numbers and how well I'm progressing towards those numbers. Depending on whether we're in bull markets, bear markets, I've got a separate video on that, which I will also link down in the description as well. But yeah, just some of the key areas that my money goes to are here on the spreadsheet. So let's dive into it and let's spin through exactly what everything here means. So what we've got is effectively three pots on this page. We've got my emergency fund pot, which you can see on the far left hand side, so just over here, which I will highlight. We've then got my pension, which comes and is paid for out of my job, my salary sacrifice pension. So we'll go into that in a bit more detail. And then my separate other investments that I have that are contributing towards my financial picture. So I have a stocks and shares ISA that I also put money into every month. So we will go into all of those different things separately as we go. But if we slide all the way back to the left hand side and we start with the emergency fund. So I've got a video on emergency funds that I've covered already and why they are so important, how to save for them, what sort of goals you should be setting yourself. So I'll link that down below, and do go and check that video out because it will help you get an understanding of why emergency funds are so important for your essentially financial life. This kind of being that is the financial system that you have, and all of mine's in this spreadsheet. The cornerstone is emergency funds. So definitely make sure you go away and watch that video because it will provide a bit of context for why it's so important. For me, for my emergency fund, I'm aiming to have between 4 and 6 months of my living expenses saved up and covered, so that if I were to lose my job or if I were to have a really large unexpected bill come in, I have the money to be able to cover that. So you can see in this section here, and I'll break down all of the individual bits in a moment, but right down the bottom here, my goal by the end of 2026 is to have £7,000 saved in my emergency fund, because that will give me roughly 4 or 5 months covered off. And then, you know, if I can get to this goal earlier, then I'll maybe push it on towards that 6. But my ideal goal will be to get to £7,000 this year. Coming into this month, so December 2025, up at the top here, I'm currently on £4,250. To be honest, an emergency fund is something I've sort of semi-saved for over the years, and then I've ended up spending a bit of the money. my mindset towards it hasn't been as now strong as it is now, my understanding of it. And I now have a full kind of knowledge of why emergency funds are so important. And I wanted to bring you in at the early stage of my journey of changing tax saving towards this, so you can see how I do it and how long it takes me to get there when you really focus on that being the objective. So as of December 2025, starting this month, I had £4,250 in my emergency fund. It's in an easy access, high interest savings account. Two really important things for emergency funds, so that you can access that money whenever you need it. So that's where my money is at the moment. And then in my budget, for anyone that's already watched my budget video, you'll know how much is going in here. For anyone that hasn't yet, spoiler alert, doesn't mean you shouldn't go back and watch the video though, so please do. But if I go back to my monthly budget tracker tab, and then I scroll down, you will see that here I've got £550 allocated for my emergency fund for the month of December. So we can go back to the savings and investments tab, and in here we can put, sorry, wrong side, let me go to the right side first of all. In here we can put £550. So that brings me up to £4,800, you can see in this total here, for my emergency fund. That's how much I've got. The interest on my account is paid annually, so I'm not expecting to get any interest this month. That normally comes through in March, I think it is, my interest on my account. So I'm not expecting to get any interest on this savings account this month. Some accounts, that I put this in here because some accounts do pay interest monthly, so it's worth having it in there in case you want to keep track of it every month, or if that's how your account pays. But for me, it doesn't, so that will be zero. So that's it. It puts me on £4,800. My goal is 7,000. I'm on 4,800, so it's currently highlighted in red because I haven't reached that goal yet. But that's okay, because that goal is set for the end of next year. But that really is it for emergency funds. Really simple, really straightforward. Me plotting out my route to get to that goal of 7,000. Okay, so next we have the money that is going into my pension every single month. So this one sits a little bit differently to the budget spreadsheet that I showed you a moment ago, because this money that goes into my pension actually comes out before it reaches my bank account, because it is a auto-enrolled salary sacrifice pension that I have with the company that I work for. The money gets taken out pre-tax, so it disappears out of my account before it even makes it into my bank account every month. So this center section that is highlighted here sort of sits outside almost of the money that you see in my budget tracker. That's why you won't see the money that I put into my pension in that monthly budget tracker. That's why, because it sits outside of my normal income and how it gets paid. So starting this month, I have two pots. So December 2025, I have two pots, two pension pots. I have one pension pot that I have with Nutmeg at the moment, and that is accumulation of all of my pensions from previous jobs that I've pulled all into one place. Sidebar, a really important thing to go and do. If you don't know where all of your pensions are from previous jobs, if you take nothing else from today's video, whenever you're watching this, whenever the next weekend comes up, just spend an afternoon going through all your previous jobs, trying to find out where your pensions are. There's a really useful tool, which I'll link down below on the government website, that allows you to help track where your pensions are. That is your money. That is your money that's lost out there at the moment that you don't have full ownership over. So bring it all together and have it all in one place so that you know exactly how much money you've got in your pension. But at the moment, as I say, I've got those two funds. So I've got that pension, which is an accumulation of all my old pensions. And then I've also got my current pension, which is the pension I have with my job at the moment, which is with Scottish Widows. So they are the two pension pots that I have. You combine them together and they make up the £30,522, I should say, that I've got currently saved in my pensions, which is good. I'm really happy with that. I've been in a job now since leaving university, so what, 10, 11 years ago now. So that's kind of where I've got to. I'd like to be probably further along and more closer towards that £50,000 mark at the moment, but this is my first time really getting hold of my pensions and really starting to accelerate them forward. So I'm on 30,522 at the moment. And then I put in, so my employer does a 6% matched contribution pension scheme. What that means is if I put in 6%, my employer will match up to 6%. If I were to start putting in 7% of my salary, then they would still only put in 6%. So I max out the contributions that my employer gives. It's really easy to do. All you need to do is speak to your HR department and say that you'd like to increase your pension contributions to whatever amount, whatever percentage of your salary that you want. That percentage is then calculated on your salary that you're paid before your tax. So that bit of money comes straight out before it goes through the tax system, straight into your pension. So it's a really good bit of tax relief. There are some changes coming up to this in the future, recently announced in the government's budget. Controversial changes, so not something that's going to impact today or even next year. It's something for a couple of years' time. But I'll drop a link down below for the video that I've done on the recent policies announced in the budget and how they might impact you, because hopefully that will be useful for you to kind of help understand where your money might change in the future. But this is this is what I've got going on at the moment. Those two pension pots come together, and then every month I add, as I say, the 6% from my salary, the 6% that my employer provides me. So I know that is £560 that goes in there. So that money is added on to then what will be this December 2025 number. And then I can't do this bit at the moment. This is as far as we can go for the first month until we get going. But then when I come back to my pension at the end of the month, when I come to do this video next time, I can put in how much my pension grew in the last month. So the way of doing that is I will put in there what my end total for the combined pensions are, and then this will automate. So let's do an example, shall we? So let's say that my pensions are worth 31,500 when I come back to this next month. That'd be great if they are, because that means it'll have gone through some good growth. But then what that means is that in here, as you can see, this will calculate how much money that my pension has grown. So my investments that are part of my pension fund has grown that month. So you bring together the starting total, the amount that I added, the amount it grew, and that gives me my end total. That end total will then go down to January 2026 here, and so on and so forth. You can see it as it continues then all the way through the year. Down to the bottom, my goal is to get this pension fund to £37,000 for next year, or those two pension pots, I should say, to get them to £37,000 by the end of the year. Now, with the amount that I'm actually contributing, you might think that, well, actually, that's probably fairly achievable, because if you do 12 payments of £560 a month, I'll pretty much get there anyway, near enough there, without having any growth. Now, the reason why that's really important to bring that up is because the value of investments can go up and down every year. This year in particular has been a very strong year for growth in the stock market. There's no saying that next year is going to be really strong. Next year might even be negative. That's how the stock market ebbs and flows, and that's where my money is invested as part of my pension. So I could actually see a bit of negative growth, for example, next year, because we've seen such a strong year. So that's why I'm not going to change this number. This is the number that comes from my retirement plan spreadsheet down here of what I know I need to be at to be on track for my early retirement by the end of next year. So I'm going to leave that number as it is, and I might go past it at some point in the year, and then it might go backwards for any reason that could impact the stock market. So just a bit of background there on why I'm not going to change that goal. But yeah, that's the overall picture of where my pension is at and how much money I'm putting into it and what my goals are and where it's going. And then the final one is my investments tab. So this really is an extension of my pension tab in a way, but this money does come out of my finance system every single month. So I put in some extra money to go into a separate stocks and shares ISA that I currently have with Trading 212. I put some extra money into that account every month. I've got a portfolio set up of assets that I've personally chosen, mainly S&P 500 global index funds that really just track the value of those kind of stock markets. That's what I've got set up at the moment, just to try and keep my risk nice and diversified. I don't want too much hassle in picking individual stocks. That's not really for me at the moment. So that's why I've gone with funds. And then, yeah, this is an extra account I have that keeps money topping up to also help contribute towards my early retirement. So I've mentioned it before, and I'll change tabs now so you can see it. I have a retirement plan here that I have pulled together that will allow me to get to my early retirement. Now, for you, it's probably going to be microscopic on the screen. There's so much detail in here. I'm not going to break down the kind of intricate ins and outs of every single year in here. The bit I want to draw your attention to up here is this section here that I've highlighted, because that shows me what I need to be contributing and where my targets need to be at to be able to achieve that early retirement goal that I have for the future. So here you can see July, August, September, October, November, December. That's how much I need to be contributing every month towards my overall pension pot to be on track to reach the goal that I need to be on track to do. So you can see December needs to be £650. So that's why you'll see then, going back to the savings and investments tab, that I've got £560 going in from my pension, going straight through from my salary sacrifice, and then I add an additional £100 every month from my account, my personal budget, that goes into this other stocks and shares ISA that I have. So those two things bring together my kind of tracking to get towards my pension. And then again, you can see the end total here. I'll be able to input at the end of the month, and then that will tell me how much that those investments grew as well last month. So then when you add that all up and you bring it all together, you can see I've got a goal to get that account to £6,000 by the end of the year. So when you combine this number here, the £37,000 from my pension, the 6,000 from my stocks and shares ISA that I have with Trading 212, and the £7,000 goal that I have for my emergency fund, you can see that it all wraps up very neatly in a bow, that by the end of next year, I will hopefully have £50,000 in net worth in this area. So that's my big goal for 2026, is to get £50,000 across these accounts sorted, so that I'm then ready to kick on with the next stage of growing my income and investments. But yeah, that is a very quick overview really of how I plan on that tab working. As I say, there's not too much I can do today because this is the first one of doing it, but hopefully it just shows you how I'm planning to track my savings and investments, and it might give you an idea of how maybe you want to track yours as well, and keep tabs on where your money's going. So there you have it. That is how I track my stocks and shares, my investments, my savings, all in one place to hopefully achieve my goal of being at £50,000 by the end of 2026. So that is my aim. That's the goal that I'm looking towards. You will be able to see every month how I'm doing and how I'm getting on. So yeah, if you like this video and you want to see more content in this series, you want to keep tabs on my journey, do make sure you give this video a like. Drop a comment, any thoughts you've got, any personal goals that you have. I always love to hear them and love to know what you guys have got going on. So drop a comment and subscribe to the channel so you get notifications of when these videos next go live. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it for today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.